The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Tokutalk.
Yes!
Ow, you're loud.
I know. I had to make sure to be loud to sometimes go over the people next to me. But yeah, this week, we're talking about villains. What makes a good one? And we're going to, of course, split this up between the seasons. Jacob and I might do one for Ultraman later on.
Mm-hmm.
But this time...
Kamen Rider.
Yeah, we're going to focus on Kamen Rider first.
So, Marcus, let's start with you. What do you think what makes a good Kamen Rider villain?
Now, it does end up depending on which time period you're talking about.
True.
With Showa, it was almost always an organization that they were fighting against.
Mm-hmm.
With Kuga, not so much. It was just a general group of villains because there was no main one. Mm. But the further we got along, it was just like, all right, there's this head guy. We had to fight against him.
With generals and all that crap.
And, they sometimes end up going back. Black did a very good one with this where it became personal. Mm-hmm. Later on, they were just like, all right, let's go ahead and shrink the groups of people that were fighting against down and make it more personal to just the rider itself.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite villain in Kamen Rider thus far?
Favorite one in Kamen Rider thus far? Shadow Moon's an easy one.
True.
He's very, very easy.
Shadow Moon's great.
He's powerful. He's intimidating. He's got that personal touch to it.
Mm-hmm. Another very good one. That one's a little bit harder. Actually, Heart, because he wasn't Heart and Drive. He wasn't really a villain.
No, it was kind of more just conflicting ideologies at the end of it.
And how to go about getting to that point.
And he wanted an honorable death.
Yeah. Well, that was at the end, but it was just like how to go about getting to that point of how do we get to this conclusion that we want to have, with Heart making the Bermudes more equal. Mm-hmm. And Drive is just like, all right, we can do that. This is more the way that he viewed it at the end. We can do that, but we cannot go about the way that you do by sometimes killing people. Mm-hmm. It really does end up more depending on the show, but there is sort of a standard that I do end up putting it up against.
What's that?
With O's, you can say that because Ankh was already a part of the group, but his ideology got switched the longer that he spent with Eiji.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things I really liked about it.
Yeah.
Because eventually, towards like I think like the middle of the show, when Ankh is fully restored, there is that moment where a couple of moments where he's conflicted on whether or not he should turn or not. Yeah. Back to what his true nature he believes is. I thought it was handled pretty well in that.
Yeah, it really was.
What about you?
For me, I really do enjoy the personal connection, but I think first and foremost, a villain needs to be intimidating. If you're not off-put by the villain, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like when you have the villain, I'm trying to think of a bad one, like a really bad one.
The villains in Black Rex.
The villains in Black Rex, yeah, pretty much. Now, then you have a villain like Stalk/Evolve, who has intimidation down, and I get that. And I get that his plan makes no sense. I get that, but he got intimidation, so I was still entertained by him. Mm-hmm. That's why I still enjoy him as a villain. And he is not the only villain in anything to have a plan that doesn't make sense. Number one. I would like to point out, why in Dragon Ball Z, why did Cell just make a tournament? Why did Cell make a tournament?
He wanted to enjoy himself.
So did Evolve. That's why he made the little tower game. He wanted to enjoy himself.
We'll talk about that one later.
Yeah, anyway, but that's my thing. I think a villain needs to be intimidating. But I think one of my favorite villains is Gaim, with the final villain of Baron.
That's what I was going to say.
Because you watch...
Every villain is the hero of his own story, and I think Baron, is the best example of that in Kamen Rider.
Because he just wanted to be powerful. He wanted to... He never wanted to be a villain. He just wanted to be powerful, and he wanted to... It's kind of like Vegeta. But instead of, being Vegeta, he just kind of became...
He was Baron.
He was Baron.
He became Baron instead of becoming Vegeta. But what a coincidence.
You know what I mean? Instead of saying good, he went to the dark side.
Mm. Yeah.
I think one of the things about Baron that really stood out to me is if you go back and you watch Gaim, you start from the beginning and then you get to the end, it makes sense that Baron's character ends up the way it does.
Absolutely.
Because he's so competitive with Gaim right from the beginning. and he feels like he always has to be the best at everything.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like a fitting conclusion to that character that he ends up where he does.
It really does. Now, of course, there are some times where the situation is more the villain. Ryuki and Blade are very good examples of this.
I would say Ryuki, absolutely.
Yeah, Ryuki is just like, you're put into the situation. Yeah, Odin, or rather Tatakai Man, is like sort of the main villain.
He's the game master.
Yeah, he's much more a game master. He lets everything go in.
He's a sadistic dungeon master.
Yeah, he is.
So most dungeon masters.
Yeah. Especially when people go off the beaten path that the dungeon master said.
Let's not go into that story, please.
Anyway,
David, if you're watching this, fuck you. Just fuck you, man.
But yeah, I feel like we end up having this as much more. The situation ends up being the villain. Like Odin set it to go and just let everybody else do what they wanted, and they still had that goal to get to the wish.
He knocked over the dominoes, and he just watched as everything fell into place.
Yeah, everything burned. And literally, at the end of that.
Yeah.
But, and then you end up having something like Blade, where once again, it's the game itself. Where they end up having the battle fight. I hate that title because it just sounds awkward in English. But
it does.
The way that they ended up setting it up is just like, all right, so God put out this tablet and just let it run.
Yeah.
And it spawned the undead and just went from there. And then it ended up where everything went wild when Kenzaki refused to, one, fight the Joker, fight Chalice, and two, he turned into another Joker, thereby leaving the game at a stalemate and the game basically breaking. It was a very interesting one to watch there just because there was no main villain.
True.
Sort of like in Blade, yeah, they had Lord, but after a little while you see that it shifted to becoming more that slab.
Yeah.
Becoming sort of the proxy villain.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Kabuto sort of tried to do that and didn't work.
No, it really didn't. Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it also... But then you have shows like Decade and Zi-O are doing, which is essentially the villain is yourself.
Yeah.
The villain is you, or it's past versions of you.
Or future versions of you.
Or future versions of you.
So it's that thing of, will I become that villain?
Yeah.
And so that's also an interesting way to look at it. I don't think either show are doing them very well thus far.
Decade has done it over.
You've seen our review.
So we know that didn't work.
And I'm worried that Zi-O's not going in the right direction, in my opinion.
I'm enjoying it.
I'm enjoying parts of it.
Not so much the whole king thing, but...
No.
I still love the look on Takemi's face last week when he says that, and Takemi just gives him the most disgusted look I've ever seen on any writer's face. I want to be king someday.
I'm enjoying it, but
villain-wise, it's just like, all right, so you end up having the Time Jackers there. They're sort of another faction, but they're all working towards it.
I will admit, Waz is like my favorite character.
He is the best character in just like
I know the best part so far is when Zi-O's trying to transform into Forze, and the another writer stops him, and Waz just beats him, and he's like, "No, you let him change! How dare you interrupt him?"
I was like, that gives like such a just strange way of fixing that problem of the villains just let them transform. Like
because if you don't, Waz will wreck your shit.
Yeah, it's like, stop it.
Sir, I am trying.
Never disrupt the hype man segment.
I fucking love Waz.
Rejoice!
Rejoice!
Rejoice! You are in the presence of the great king.
But yeah, making a good villain is...
Every Kamen Rider needs a hype man now.
Yeah. Every villain does end up having something, but of course, there are going to be weak ones.
Here's another thing. Kamen Rider knows the difference between these two terms, but needs to recognize them more often. There is a difference between a villain and an antagonist. An antagonist is more interesting. A villain is just being bad for the sake of bad. An antagonist is going up against your protagonist for a reason. Baron and Gaim. Baron wanted to be better. You need more. You need to raise the stakes.
And actually, Zi-O sort of has that in the form of the Time Jackers.
In the form of the Time Jackers, because they want somebody else to be king.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're getting more time with another writer versus the Time Jackers themselves, they seem less of antagonists and more of catalysts. They're just like, go.
Like the man and the woman from Hibiki. That's sort of what they did.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, we're just going to create this.
We're bored.
Yeah, that was sort of them a little bit.
They were just agents of chaos.
Yeah, that's really all they were.
I think Hibiki is one of the best examples of just the bad entity of the show, villain, if you will, is just, it's just monsters who are just being monsters.
Yeah.
There's no real motive there. It's just, we're going to wreak destruction because we're agents of chaos.
Which is, like, there's so many different types of villains that you can do. And I think everybody has their own preference of types of villains. I prefer the antagonist with that emotional connection behind it. Same. Shadow Moon, Baron, stuff like that.
I just like them to be good.
I like them to be fucking scary. And remember when, I know, I keep thinking of a Sentai one.
Shin?
No, I keep thinking of a Sentai. When Schwartz in Tokuger was
General Schwartz.
And he just wrecked their shit.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you go,
I brought that up. I mean, if you saw our Toku Spook episode, I brought up General Schwartz was one of the scarier things that I think Sentai has ever done, because he's just not a person I would want to mess with.
Somebody did mention this, and we did forget to bring it up. Fucking Radiguet. From Jetman.
Oh
God, yeah.
He put a man in a vegetative state.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because fuck you.
Or Enter. Did you guys talk about Enter?
We talked about Enter.
Yeah.
So you're going to kill me? No, I'll put you in a coma so you don't pull this shit.
We'll talk about him in a second, because we're going to do another video on Sentai villains.
True. Anyway, so yeah, I think intimidating and a emotional connection between the protagonist make a great antagonist or a great villain for me.
Yeah. It just makes it, have more weight in terms of the actual story. Which they sort of tried to do in Bill.
Because when it comes, like, Shadow Moon and Baron are my top tier Kamen Rider villains for the emotional connection between them and the writer. And the moment when you have a villain that's so fucking scary that when you don't know who he is, but your friend who does watches it and he shows up and he goes, "Run, bitch! Run! Turn your ass and get the fuck out!" That's a scary villain.
Apparently his friend is Chris Rock.
That was pretty much what you turned into that moment.
That's true.
You turned into Chris Rock. You're like, nah, fuck this. You run and you hide and you hope he don't find you. You do have your Chris Rock moments. Don't fucking deny it.
But yeah, that's what we end up thinking about good Kamen Rider villains. Join us next time as we doing another one for good Sentai villains, which I feel like is easier to do.
Is easier to do, and honestly will not be the same video.
No, it will be very different.
It will be very different because it's a completely different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
So, let us know what your favorite villains in Kamen Rider are, and what you want to see in a Kamen Rider villain. Like any villains so that you hope to see in a villain that has not yet been introduced in Zi-O.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who's the leader of the Time Jackers? Unless it's that scary dude from the fucking Fies episode.
Also Schwartz?
Sure.
That is his name. But yeah.
But as always, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter.
All the things. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.